let's take a moment to sit with this idea. Acceptance, it's a simple word, isn't it? But it's not always easy to do. So, let me ask you something. What do you do when things don't go your way? Think about it for a second. Do you get angry? Do you shut down? Maybe you try to ignore it, hoping it'll go away. Listen, you're not alone. Most of us do this. We resist, we fight, we push back against things we don't like. Why? Because it feels like that's the only way to stay in control. But let me tell you something, a truth that might feel uncomfortable at first. Control is an illusion. Yes, you heard it, right? So let me explain it like this. Imagine you're holding onto a rope. On the other side of that rope is something pulling you, a problem, a feeling, a situation you don't want to face. You're pulling as hard as you can, trying not to let it drag you. But what happens? Your hands start to burn. Your arms ache. And no matter how much strength you use, the rope keeps pulling. Now imagine, you let go.
Feel that? Yes, that's what acceptance is. It's not about giving up or losing. It's about freeing yourself from the constant tug of war. So now let's get deeper with a story to see how acceptance works psychologically. But before that, if you feel my videos are helpful, don't forget to subscribe and show your support. Let's continue to the story. There was a young woman named Asha. She had dreams like all of us, and she worked hard to achieve them. But every time something went wrong, a rejection, a mistake, a failure, she couldn't handle it. She would spiral into self-doubt, blaming herself or the world. And the harder she tried to control everything, the more anxious and drained she became. One day, during one of her lowest moments, Asha went to the park to clear her mind. There, she met an older woman sitting on a bench. This woman had this calm, steady presence that caught Asha's attention. Asha couldn't help herself. She sat next to the woman and asked, "How do you stay so peaceful when life can be so messy?"
The woman smiled gently and said, "Child, life is like a river. It flows how it wants to, fast, slow, calm, or wild. The more you fight the current, the more you'll tire yourself out. But if you learn to flow with it, you'll find your peace, and maybe even joy." That moment changed everything for Asha. She realized she had spent so much time fighting life, trying to control things that were out of her hands, and all it did was exhaust her. So, she made a choice. She began to practice what the woman had told her. She stopped resisting her struggles and started accepting them.
Psychologically, acceptance works because it lowers resistance. You see, when we resist something, our brain sees it as a threat. It goes into fight or flight mode. Your heart races, your mind spins, you feel trapped. But when you accept, your brain stops seeing the situation as dangerous. Instead, it shifts into problem-solving mode. You stop reacting and you start responding. It's like stepping out of a storm and into shelter. There's science to back this up. Studies show that people who practice acceptance, not avoiding or suppressing their emotions, have lower stress levels. They recover from setbacks faster. They're more resilient. Why? Because when you accept your emotions, you're telling your brain, "This is okay. I can handle this." Now coming back to the Asha's story, and that's what Asha experienced. She stopped fighting her fear of failure. She started sitting with her emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, and letting herself feel them. She told herself, "It's okay to feel this way. It's part of being human." And over time, something incredible happened. Asha became stronger. She stopped wasting energy on things she couldn't control. Instead, she focused on what she could do. Take small steps toward her goals, even on the hard days. She learned to flow with the river of life. But I know what you're thinking. How do I accept something when it hurts so much? That's a fair question. And here's where I want you to slow down with me. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It simply means you acknowledge it. You allow it to exist without judgment. Let me give you another example. Imagine you're walking in a heavy rainstorm. You can't stop the rain, right? You can scream at the clouds or you can curse the weather, but the rain will keep falling. So what do? You open an umbrella, or maybe you just let yourself get wet. Either way, you stop fighting the rain. You accept it for what it is, a part of nature. And in doing so, you find a way to move through it. It's the same with life. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop trying to improve. It doesn't mean you stop working towards your goals. It means you stop wasting energy fighting things you can't control. It's about saying, this is where I am right now. I don't have to like it, but I can handle it. So let me ask you again, what's something in your life that you've been fighting? Take a moment, really think about it. Maybe it's a difficult emotion, fear, sadness, anger. Maybe it's a situation you can't change. What would happen if you stopped fighting it? If you just let it be? I'm not saying it'll be easy, but I am saying it's worth it. Because when you accept, you give yourself the gift of peace. You free up your energy to focus on what you can do, not what you can't control. So here's my challenge for you. The next time you feel yourself resisting, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what if I accepted this instead? You might just surprise yourself.